Cancers, hello, hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Cancers, I'm sorry this has taken me so long this week, but my friend flew in and it was a wonderful week, but I love you guys. I'm here. Okay, Cancers. We have the vessel and the fault line, the heart and the maiden, Alithia and the vision. I just feel like this energy is, I don't know, I just think of like getting a piece of land and you get this land and you're like, shit, like we can't build on this. This is not where you can do anything. And I think reviewing it, because there's almost this idea of like how do we create this vision? Where is the truth behind like this vision? Because I feel like what we've been dealing with for any given period of time has been a lot of faulty foundations and trying to build on a faulty foundation and then trying to understand like what causes a faulty foundation, because if every direction that you look all you see are faulty foundations, where are you supposed to be building at? You feel me? Like what am I supposed to do with any of this? I can't build on any of that. They're all faulty foundations. If I build on that, it will crumble. And people just being like, why aren't you building on that? Like, why aren't you using this foundation that you have accessible to you? And you being like, because it's a faulty foundation and I don't want to lose everything that I build. I've already done that once. Thank you kindly, personally. But I don't know you guys, but it has that energy of like, no, I don't want to build there. That is a faulty foundation. But there being this truth behind a vision that I almost feel, because I don't know, because I feel like a sales pitch right now. So what I think the pitch sounds like would be this idea of land where you can't build being represented to you as somehow a feasible option for building. And then you have the maiden in the heart. I don't know, because it feels like this. Well, now I'm just like living in HGTV. But it feels like this idea of again, this sales pitch, this like, don't you want this? Don't like, can't you see how you can create on this foundation? And why? Well, partly because the vessel, and the vessel is the idea of build it or break it. And I feel like you're not asking that question if you haven't already already reviewed an option and determined that it was not a viable option for what you were trying to do. There was that, like, it didn't fit. It didn't work. It was a foundation that if you built on it, all of the things that you like went to build would come crumbling down around you, because they're like the foundation was cracked. And you've been going in and finding all of these cracked foundations. I feel like there is a presentation of a foundation that you had previously checked. That's and a pitch as to why it is just the place that you want to build your vision. Cancers. You know, we're all going to have different visions. We're all going to have different ideas of what we're looking for in our foundations. And if it's the idea of relationships, right? If you want to take it to that and you're like, well, I really want, like, I really want a healthy relationship. You know, when I envision love, I want this, this, and this, right? Like whatever it is that you're seeking for that foundation of a relationship. If it's not that, and it's an actual, like, this is my goal, and this is what I have, you know, this is what I envision for my life. And I haven't built it anywhere because everywhere that I've looked has been too fractured of a foundation. You know, like I need a solid ass foundation, you know? And I feel like somehow there's this emotion being incited of like this is what you really want. And I think that it has something to do with your vision, whatever that is for you as an individual. Take what resonates, how it resonates, leave the rest. Okay, Cancers. Yeah, I mean, it can totally be both. It's not limited to one thing. And honestly, you know the saying, when it rains, it pours. I think like a lot of that, if you just translate that into energy, is that like when you've tapped into that energy, when you've unblocked that blockage, the flowing just is like overpouring, because I feel like there is like a sense of an outpouring almost, because that, I think that's the sales pitch energy. You know, and I hate to like associate the two because I feel like, ew, I don't like that just like as an individual. But I also do feel like the analogy carries over here, so we'll use it. But let's do some clarifiers because this is interesting. Cancers. Okay. Clarifiers. The Queen of Cups. Love. I mean, taking your good and going and like pulling yourself self up out of a situation, which I do like immediately just want to go back to the idea of like, I've been there and I've done that. And I don't ever want to do that again. I don't ever want to watch my entire life crumble before my eyes. I don't ever want to build on something that I know is going to situate me for failure, because it's too important. It's everything. You know, I just feel like, in fact, it's everything, because it's my, like my next journey in life, and I've already experienced utter devastation in my previous life. So forgive me for not wanting to dive into faulty foundations all willy-nilly, because why? So I can experience more loss and devastation. You know, like I have been going through the lesson of practicing discernment and holding boundaries from energies that bring that to my door. Faulty foundations. I don't know, because this feels like a conversation right now. I feel like I'm just like engaged in a conversation with somebody who's like, this is the foundation that you want, and this is da 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 da. And I feel like almost like in rebuttal to that, or in response, there being this sense of like, well, let me explain to you why I'm not just willing to hand over something so important, when I know that there are faulty foundations. You know, like why I'm not willing to build on this. And then I feel like in return, is the pitch. We won't call it a sales pitch. We'll just call it a pitch. Is the pitch as to why the foundation is solid. Cancers. I really, like, I just never know. And the nice thing about a channeled message is that I don't have to carry that energy with me. I can just tap into it and exit. The death, the page of swords, and the sun. Well, yeah, I feel like there's this idea of like, well, yeah, I'm not dealing with energies that will do nothing more than antagonize me or like question me every single step of the way and berate and belittle me and, like talk shit about me to people that I don't even know, like they know me. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there are just like a lot of things that you're like, these are things that I would not ever welcome into my life, you know? And so I've just stayed doing what I need to do until I know that I find the foundation that's right for what it is that I'm doing, so that when I build it, it doesn't come crumbling down around me due to utter devastation because I was a dumbass and built it on a faulty foundation. Because in the end, it always falls back on you, right? It's like, it's I'm going to be the one who has to pick up the pieces. I'm going to be the one who experiences all of the loss. I'm the one who is invested in this 100%. You know what I mean? No faulty foundations for me. Thank you kindly. I don't know. I don't know if this person went in and did renovations to the property because now we just are in the world of properties. Like, that is what's happening here. But I almost feel like there's this sense of, okay, well, let me tell you why this will work. Let's do clarifiers. Moss. Okay. Cancers. The Two of Swords and the Devil, the Empress, and the Eight of Wands and the King of Wands. You know, Cancers, I feel like we've been steady making decisions in our lives about who we want in our lives, why we want them in our life, how it is that we identify ourselves. We've definitely gone through a lot of transitions in terms of just like self-identifying, like, who am I when I release all of the things? Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I have so heavily identified myself through every identity that's been handed to me that when I handed all of those identities back, I had no fucking clue what I was supposed to look like. And it's taken me a while to figure out what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with, and why I'm comfortable with it and why I'm not comfortable with it. But before I can proceed as me, I should probably take some time to really understand me. You know what I mean? And I feel like you've done that, right? I mean, we've been going through that, especially my Cancer risings, because it's been, all of this has been going on in our first house. So we've been doing a lot of self-reflecting, a lot of figuring out who am I and why, and all of the things that I've tried, like what has worked and what hasn't worked, and what do I need to get rid of and why. And a lot of that has ultimately played back into the idea of a faulty foundation. and what you're willing to build on and why you're willing to build on it or not. I I don't know, because I think of a partnership. Because if you're getting land, I don't know. Well, that's more of the idea of like renting land, but whatever, we're going with it. Because this is more of like the idea of a partnership. So if the person who owns the land and you were like, I want to, like I'd like to use this land, but I want to check it out first. You check it out and you're like, oh, fuck, that is not land that I can build on, right? Okay. So you go to this person and you say, listen, I loved the idea of it, but ultimately, when I got in there, I realized very quickly all of the reasons why this isn't going to work for me and what it is that I'm building. Like beautiful piece of land, love it, was like super drawn to it, like thought, oh, that would be perfect. And then was like, wait a second, just kidding, you know? Um, and I feel like this person's who has the land is I don't know, I just feel like suddenly conscious of their land and like what their land offers in terms of, well, because if you're renting land, I mean, obviously, like you want to attract good tenants, right? Like, because this is just where we're at. But you want to attract good tenants, but you're not going to get good tenants if you don't have like something going on with something. You know what I mean? Like you're probably going to attract a lot of really shitty tenants. So if you want to attract quality tenants, then you want to provide them with like a quality home or a piece of property, right? So if this person says to you, like, this is all the, like, I can't, like, I won't have access to water, or I don't have access to whatever, like, I don't, like, I just feel like this, like, upon inspection isn't actually as good of a fit for me as I had hoped that it would be, you know? Because I just feel like this, like, backing up. But then I feel like because of this explanation that's offered, there's this sense of like, well, I can accommodate all of those things, all of those concerns. And if you genuinely want this property, then I would like to have a tenant who I know wants to be on the property, who wants to take care of this property. You know what I mean? And so I feel like there's this sense of like somehow adjusting, accommodating, running a line. I don't know, like getting water put in. I don't know. However that translates into reality. This is just an analogy for the energy that we're experiencing or coming into or wherever we are at in the energy, because it'll resonate differently for all of us. But I feel like the property person comes back and says, okay, I like, here's the new deal. It feels like a negotiation. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like Cancers, you're coming out on top because you weren't willing to settle for something that you were like, well, but like that literally won't work for me. Like it's such a faulty foundation for what it is that I'm trying to build. Like I can't do that. It's not a risk I'm willing to take. And that person coming back and saying, okay, well, what about this? Because I feel like there's respect in this negotiation. You're coming out as the empress, for fuck's sake. You like you're not, this isn't me groveling for an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like this was me looking at a piece of property thinking this would be an amazing place to build and then realizing it doesn't fit with what it is that I'm trying to do. And like walking away from it because I know what I deserve and I know what I need in order to build what it is that I know I'm going to build. And it requires a solid foundation. And I feel like that being a response worth reacting to. Cancers, I feel like you're like obs. Been knowing it. Feel it. Feel it. Bardo, agape in the box. Well, you know what this feels like to me, honestly? Because there are people in the world who, for every solution, they have a problem, right? And I feel like if you are somebody who has a solution for every problem, rather than a problem for every solution, you are somebody worth working with. You are somebody worth listening to. You understand foundations in a way that I think, I don't know who, I mean, like, because Cancer is home, right? We're the sign of the home and nurturing and so we understand a sense of foundation, because if you're going to have a healthy home, if you're going to have a healthy relationship, then you need to understand why people feel the way they feel and what incites those emotions. And how do you work with, around, through, however you have to deal with it, because I'm sure it depends on who you're dealing with, you know? But you have a skill in terms of foundations. And I think that for a lot of us, there's almost been this sense of like being accused of not knowing what that means, and looking at it all, and thinking, you don't know what that means. You know what I mean? But let's talk about it. You know, let's understand it. Let's make sure there's a solid foundation so that when we build, there's not that constant fear of what it is, what's going to happen, which crack is it going to be. I've let so many fucking cracks in it happen in this. Which crack is going to be the crack that gets me? You know, nobody wants to exist in that energy. That's exhausting. And I don't know. I don't know how this will play out for you guys. But I do feel like there is an offer being made. I feel like a negotiation that you are engaged in. And I think an explanation within this negotiation that calls for a response that like comes with a sense of like respect and acknowledgement, instead of, I feel like, anger. Because if you have a property and your property is a cracked foundation, and somebody comes and they're really interested in your property, and they come and they look at the property and then they see that the foundation is like, can't build on that, and you get mad at that person because your foundation is cracked and they acknowledged it, like, nobody's gonna, really? Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like, people aren't going to want to work with you then. And it's kind of like, I feel like instead of having a reaction of what? Attacking somebody because they couldn't build on that foundation. You know, I don't, like, it's like, that's not a personal attack on you. That's just an acknowledgement of like what that foundation is, you know, like, I just, like, I can't do that. And then turning around and attacking somebody for it. But that's not what I feel like is happening here at all. But what a juxtaposition there is between, like the property owner who says, oh wow, I understand, like why you couldn't build here, and if you really are interested and you will sincerely take care of this because you're invested in this, then I want to be as invested in it as I expect other people to be invested in it, which means I'm not going to try and attract tenants, quality tenants with faulty foundations. I'm going to make sure that my foundation is fixed, that it's solid, you know? And that's what I feel like happens there. The end. I don't know, Cancers. It seems good. Like I don't know what you decide either way. But it feels right. It feels like you fixed the foundation of you in dealing with all of your self-identity, because it always comes back to us, right? It starts here, it ends here. And we needed to be comfortable in our decision making. We needed to be comfortable in our abilities to set boundaries and to practice discernment. And we've definitely gone through a lot of challenges with that. And I think a lot of us have really been stepping into this version of ourselves that is no longer ashamed of being who we are. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to apologize for this any longer. I'm not going to hide because of it. I'm not going to allow all of these outside parties to put so much shame on me and get away with it. We've just been saying no a lot, I think, over the past few years, especially, But I feel like you do that enough and you start to hold those boundaries, and then people recognize the fact that you're somebody who has boundaries, that you're somebody who isn't willing to just hand anything over because somebody said so, that you, like that you actually are very invested in what you do, and I think are very passionate about what you're doing. And for whatever reason, I just feel like this this property relationship changes because they say they want quality tenants, but they haven't acted as though they wanted quality tenants because they weren't taking care of their property in a way that ensured it wasn't anything more than a fault or anything. Yeah, that it's not a faulty foundation. Because if you don't take care of your foundation, all you're going to attract are things that are going to break. They're going to be like cheap clothes from H&M. You know what I mean? Like you wear that shit 2 times and it's threaded out, And Cancers, you were like, I am so high quality. And I'm only going to build on good foundations. And I love that for us. All right, Cancers, if this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.